Well, hey, also starting this fall, FICO will begin counting buy now, pay later loans in your credit score, a change that could help if you pay on time or maybe even hurt you if you miss one payment. Joining us to explain what this means for your money, David Morgan, Chief Lending Officer at Lake Trust Credit Union. David, good morning to you. I understand that we've got you this morning. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is changing with the FICO scoring model and when does it take effect?
Good morning. Yes, the FICO scoring method will be incorporating the buy now, pay later loans, which have typically not been included. And so for our listeners, if you've been paying these loans on time, you might actually see a positive impact on your score because that payment history is now going to be incorporated into your credit bureau. If you haven't made those payments on time or have not met the terms of those loans, you might see a negative impact on your credit scoring. So it's a reminder, this is a great time to make sure that you understand what's on your credit report. Make sure the data is accurate. It's also a good tip to prevent fraud. So this is the time of year to go into annualcreditreport.com or go into Credit Karma or any one of the credit bureaus to make sure that that credit bureau data is accurate.
Yeah, you got to make sure that that is accurate, and also probably just a good idea to be zeroed in on what your finances are in general.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, making sure that you really know what your finances look like, always important. But until now, buy now, pay later payments weren't really factored in. So why is FICO making this shift now?
Well, the popularity of the buy now, pay later has really exploded. In the United States, it's estimated that over 90 million users have taken advantage of the buy now, pay later because it's so convenient. It's right at point of sale, so when you're making a purchase, that offer is available. So I would remind our listeners that it's really one tool that should be used in our credit toolbox. You know, the importance of having other credit vehicles available, like credit cards, are so important to your financial well-being. So the convenience has been strong, but again, it needs to be used appropriately and with the appropriate discipline.
Yeah, you're talking about using it appropriately, and can a positive buy now, pay later payment history, that can actually help someone, right?
Exactly, exactly. If you've been smart with these offers, it's really going to actually help your score because that positive pay history accounts for over 40% of these scoring methods. So again, if you've taken advantage and used these appropriately, you should see a positive impact.
Now, on the other side of things, one missed payment can, of course, have quite a bit of a negative impact. Can you talk about just how damaging that is and how detrimental it could be to somebody's credit score?
That's very true. So again, that's why it's really important to verify that data on the credit bureau. Mistakes do happen, and certainly you should leverage your trusted advisor, your local credit union or banker to kind of help with disputing that process. You know, at laketrust.org, we have a wellness library that helps guide people through credit bureau scoring and that dispute process. So certainly take advantage and don't be afraid to ask for help from your trusted advisor.
Yeah, you mentioned mistakes. I'm just curious, can you give us a couple examples of what a mistake might be and when we might need to, raise a flag and question something?
Oh, certainly. You know, one of the best methods is to make sure you're setting up that automatic payment, whether it's through your mobile banking app, your online banking app. That'll minimize the chance of human error. If you're sending a check, unfortunately, mistakes do happen. It could accidentally get posted to the wrong account. It could be posted to your account, but posted as a principal curtailment and not a monthly payment. So now you're 30 days behind and your credit score is just going to tank because of that mistake. So again, extremely important to verify that data on your credit bureau.
Yeah, again, you're kind of emphasizing the importance of staying on top of your finances when you do have something like this out, a buy now, pay later account out.
Yeah, absolutely. Making sure that you're on top of it is definitely a huge part of this. But with those mistakes that could happen, maybe that payment that's getting posted to the wrong account, is there really a way to rectify that? Or is it more so that you just have to deal with the consequences of it for the time being?
No, certainly. I think creditors are open to fixing those mistakes. So certainly contact the creditor. If you have a copy of your credit report, that contact information is typically listed right in that credit bureau. So feel free to pick up the phone, have that conversation, dispute that transaction. And if it's not being rectified, you certainly have other methods to go directly to the credit bureau to file an official dispute. They will open an investigation and you typically resolve it within 30 days.
Okay, well, at least there is some methods that we can go to rectify any sort of misstep on our credit there. You know, if you are new to credit, let's say we have some listeners at home who might be new to borrowing money or might be new to the buy now, pay later situation. Can you explain the importance of good credit? What actually does that help us do in the future? I mean, obviously, if we're trying to make a big purchase, bad credit could impact things, right?
Oh, certainly. It's critical. I mean, our financial well-being really is tied to our overall mental well-being, so it's really critical. And I would recommend that we take intentional steps, just like we do with our physical fitness. We should be on an annual basis having a financial review with our trusted advisors, because when you're looking to buy a car, even with our credit cards, our daily purchases, we can get access to better terms, better interest rate by demonstrating that credit discipline and philosophy, which is going to be reflected in that score. So the buy now, pay later is one tool that you should have in that toolbox, but certainly you should have other financial vehicles like credit cards are important. If you're a homeowner, I highly recommend that you open a home equity line of credit, because you shouldn't wait till a financial crisis to start looking for those financing options. It's typically a cheap access to money. It gives you that emergency fund if you have car repairs, a medical bill, or even, God forbid, a furnace or air conditioning go out. Those are large ticket items. So the time to think about that financial well-being is now, before you get into a financial crisis.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so when you're talking about making sure you're demonstrating that you can responsibly pay back those loans, pay back on that credit, that's of course super important. But what would your main piece of advice be for striking that balance between using buy now, pay later, or other credit forms responsibly versus avoiding using it altogether?
You know, that's an interesting question, because what I'm seeing is the buy now, pay later typically is for really low dollar amounts. For like $135 is the typical average loan amount for buy now, pay later. And then when you add up all of those loan options, it's typically less than $2,000. So that tells me, and what I'm seeing with some of our members, is that times are getting tough right now. People are living paycheck to paycheck. And so it's important to understand your budget, which means take a look at your last two paychecks, subtract your monthly expenses, and that cushion that our members are seeing is shrinking. It's becoming more difficult. So you need to understand what the importance is of that purchase, and do you have the means to make that payment? And so unfortunately, we have to make some of those tough decisions on, can I afford this purchase?
All right, David Morgan, the Chief Lending Officer at Lake Trust Credit Union. We appreciate your time and your insight, of course, as FICO is getting ready to make that big change to buy now, pay later scores. We appreciate it.
Thank you.